Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes,
And
yes,
I
yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. 3 days. I was actually really excited about it. I was so busy today and I was like, no. But you know, when you have this good feeling about something, and no matter what you did, no matter how tired you are, somehow there's energy left in tank for it.
Right, right, right. Like ice cream after you fill up your belly with dinner.
Yeah.
There's always
It's
a little
like
more room.
always a little more room for good stuff. How are you, my love? How are
I'm
you?
good. I'm good. Um, this this one, like I read through it and I'm like, okay,
Oh.
okay. And then I was sitting here before kind of preparing and I'm like, okay, the reason why I think constriction and acceptance aren't that big of a deal is because it's like the simple truth, you know. There's deeper layers. So I'm excited to dive in.
And while you were contemplating, did you find yourself um like acknowledging your um states of acceptance or level of possibilities that you accept things easily in life?
Um, what I was contemplating, it's funny because the next one, 26, is the shadow of pride. And I was going through this and I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
you're
doing
way
pretty good.
ahead.
Doing pretty good. Um,
Yeah.
but that's only because I've done I've been so constricted in the past and like very recently, before the foot injury incident and all that happened. Um, and there's always more to do, but I'm learning to let go of a lot and be present with a lot. And right now I'm kind of like still digesting the changes and the ideas that are coming in.
Mm,
So for me, I'm at this point of acceptance, which is somewhat easy because when you introduce a lot of new concepts or you change your scenery or you go travel, like it's much easier to be accepting.
mm,
It's when you continue the same habits and don't change. That's when it's
mm,
difficult. Like your body wants to resist.
mm. So you're saying you're not getting tested because there's this, you're like flowing into the acceptance of what is. And you feel the pain, fucking feel the pain.
Hmm.
There's more coming, let it happen.
Yeah.
I like how he says it's not a technique, though it starts with a technique.
Hmm. Right, right,
It
right.
can start with any technique, but yet it's a process.
Hmm.
And, while I was reading, I was thinking, I was like, holy moly, we're actually all going through the same evolutionary steps or levels somehow all together. To me, that is a big deal. Like for you at that age, compared to your parents' age, your grandparents' age, to come to the level of gentle acceptance of what is without trying to control. And you are at the stage of life where this is just like surprising even to you. Like, how am I able to accept these things? But yet I
Hmm.
am. And
Hmm.
I'm finding similarities as well in the last couple of years. It's like, my car got wrecked, totally material. and total loss. And I lost everything. And I'm like, but okay, I'm really not mad. So I ended up going to Vipassana to figure that out exactly. That on the top of everything, that thing too. It's like, why am I not irritated by losing such a material thing that I worked so hard for?
Hmm.
But big part of me is not. And yet I'm trying to justify why am I not angry or hooked up on it, or how come did I accept so easily? So to me, I thank the collective in a many, many ways, though, that we are already doing our best and we're already almost evolving into the next level. That's how it feels to me. It feels like the acceptance now, it's much easier for slowly, it's becoming easier, though we don't really know how we do it because there's no technique for it. There's no, I'm just going to sit and accept, which is countering exactly what we're trying to do slowly as a humanity through the process of collective.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. And I want to highlight, you said gentleness. And I feel
Mm.
like that is a unique quality that not many carry, but I can also feel on a collective level that gentleness is almost required to make it through a lot of the volatility, the unknown, and the pressures that come.
Yeah. So, question for you.
Mm.
In the world where we now, all the data points that we are receiving through our senses is very not gentle. What we see, hear, feel, almost like it's full of fear. So, not gentle, not gentle. Do you think we as a collective, because we're evolving, we're now getting tested more and more and more?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I almost it's interesting because like with acceptance, um, the idea of concepts of how things are, what how they're operating, you you use them to kind of work your way through something, but then you get to a point when you have to drop also the concept. It's like the final acceptance. And I think that's getting really close to the city
Mm,
to get to that point. But I do have this concept which helps me tremendously just on a day-to-day basis, which is the I don't know what you'd call it. Um the forces that would be recognized as being negative or dark or I'm trying to think of the word. It's not archon. But anyway, that is a part of this evolutionary process. There needs to be some resistance. There needs to be a catalyst
mm,
for change. And it can't be like the catalyst is today you have to walk on a rainbow instead of a waterfall. It's not always going to be like the easy path, you know. It's going to be
mm,
something to trigger healing and of course, like a level of acceptance. And it almost feels like, or I should say, the concept I hold is no matter what happens, I can always fall back into or on acceptance as a foundation for being. Because if I've been in states of trying to figure it out or control or strong, strong desire and have felt like my almost this drive towards like self elimination. Like I want to just escape it. It was like too much because that's what it is when you constrict at a
mm,
deep, deep level. You're holding so much tension that you want the release of tension.
mm,
And it's like, I can't find it. I can't find it in that search. And it's like you're looking, or the way he talks about it, you're seeking it and you get to the end of your seeking. And that's when you have the option for acceptance.
mm. And that's that awareness. You almost feel, it almost sounds like it's like we're totally unaware while we're seeking something that it's like we're seeking something that we think is not what we already have, that it's something else other than what we truly have in this right moment.
Mm-hmm.
And when we seek, we're almost like lost in seeking, almost like we're trying to find, the mind is so busy to try to make us to find something. It's seeking something that it doesn't even exist. And he writes it here. It's like this fear is almost like afraid of itself
Yeah.
because it doesn't want to admit that it doesn't exist, that it's non-existent, and it is the illusion itself. And because it's afraid, it's almost like catching its own tail and spinning in circles and circles and circles. So as we seek elsewhere, there's this moment of awareness. You and I talked about this throughout in a previous keys. There's this like unconscious to conscious awareness of when you just see and you just realize something unexplainable, and oh, and nothing can help you get there other than not even a time, not even a curiosity, almost like not even a trying to find it, not even seeking, not even praying, not even any technique, not even other than, let's go back to the previous key, the gaps of, in those gaps that are so vast and maybe even empty, there may be an awareness of, oh, I am chasing something that does not exist. I am spinning in unreality. And the only thing that I have, which is Vipassana, which I think it's so funny that this key also speaks about the Vipassana. It comes down to the sensations of the body. And what is it that I'm currently feeling? And what is passing through my body? How do I feel? That's the only thing that it's real. And this sensation is giving me, my mind, a lot to think and name and narrate and create a narrative and concept about it. And it can call it anything: pain, fear, or love, pleasure, either way, but it doesn't matter what the mind said. And it says, what matters is that the only thing that it's real is what it is that I'm actually feeling actively on my body. And the moment we land onto the body and we start sensationalizing or feeling the sensations and understanding, oh, this comes and then it goes, it's here and then it's not,
Mm-hmm.
is the how the awareness of what is actually happening at the moment in reality can be built. And that awareness really just shuts down the mind, because the only thing that it's left is just, oh, I'm actually just like feeling tense in my shoulders. And you went through the practices of body mind. You went and dropped into the body. And when you drop into the body in a container with coaching, it's like you drop into the body and there's nothing else that exists other than the body, your body.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I feel. And then you do the research, and then you can name it, you can frame it, you can, imagine it, you can use your mind as a tool to come down to your body. But really, the mind is not real. It's the only thing that it's real is what it is that you're feeling into the body.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And, Vipassana or doing body mind practice, this is the technique, right, to enter and to learn levels of acceptance, because it's almost like we have to train the awareness to then
Mhm.
embody the awareness. And I think I'm curious what your experience is, but at a certain level of like vipassanalizing, doing this practice, you have the capacity to drop in with quickness
Mm.
and almost like a quantum level, like releasing, unlocking, accepting whatever it is, and also recognizing, because in that practice you recognize the sensations change, it's fluid, it's it's not like we first assume that we have stagnant energies or beliefs or stuck trauma or emotions, and it's
Mm.
such a fluid system, and it's almost like it's so fluid like a river, and a river is a good analogy for almost, like the thoughts, right? And thoughts can be also how we're thinking about our human system. And so we use a
Mhm.
boat to get across the river. That's the technique. But once we get across the river, we have to get out of the boat. Instead, we can't stay in the boat and continue on.
Yeah. And what you said is perfectly almost like described. And this is the sentence that rang yesterday in my mind when I had a client yesterday. And that was like, I said, the thoughts are not the truth, the thoughts are the tool
Mm,
to get
yeah.
where we need to get to. And you said it
Hmm.
exactly. It's like a boat that you use to cross where you need to go. And once you're there, now you have to actually immerse into the water to feel on your body what is that
Mm,
you're feeling. And I love how he also notes that only then you're able to easier accept that sensation starts and ends, that fear that came in a form of panic or anxiety or whatever underneath the root and seed of the reaction in the body is that it's easier to accept it on the body level and embody the sensation rather than create a whole menu of the stories for an entire month to choose from and spin in circles again and again and again. And only then that acceptance will actually be trained to your entire, you're almost being programmed and getting trained consistently. You ask me, how am I doing in Vipassana? You know, it's really hard to actually keep this practice every day unless you're absolutely devoted to it. So I try every day for an hour. And then the other day, this morning, I did only 15 minutes. But it's not, you can devote your entire life and you can
yeah.
even devote many, many lives to come back into it. But again, that I love that there's no timing in it. We're stuck in, oh, I want to do it in this last lifetime. You know, Earth life sucks sentence. And I don't want to come back here again. It's like, how many people did you meet to say this? Like, even myself, I said it many times, but that's not the point. The point is to allow it, to
Yeah.
allow it. Even if you need like 147 of them, again, it's like allow as you feel yourself through it, because sometimes you simply don't feel, and that you
Hmm.
just have to accept. Sometimes you feel so much, you feel fire everywhere in your body, and that too you just need to accept and learn how to accept.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, no, one 10-day course in Vipassana won't do much unless you actually practice it again and again. And it's very hard to drop in, to drop, even if it's just this triangle around the nose for 15 minutes. It's hard. You have to really train.
Is it hard to get there or is it hard to keep it? Because I feel
You
like,
know,
pay attention to your breath, the tip of your nose. Most people are like, got it. But then is it just like controlling the thoughts in silence and stillness from there? That's the difficult part.
the better you get in it, the mind gets stronger. So
Doesn't that make sense
persistent.
though?
It
The
does
paradox.
not. Yeah. And you just have to keep coming back again and again and again. Sometimes the day is great, sometimes it's not. See? And that's what I love. It's like we think we're here to get enlightened by the end. I only have like 40 more years. I have to. It's like, what a trap. You can't rush the normal, natural process.
Is it is it a trip then? The whole thing?
The trials and
Like any technique, isn't it just a trip?
it's a trip. If you ask me, it is. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a trip. I think, and that I'm excited to get into Pride next week because I have this like I feel like I'm in a good place when it comes to techniques and books and readings. I'm like I feel like I've done enough and I've learned a lot from Carly actually. She's like, okay, carry on. Okay, it's all good. Okay. And I'm like, what is like you don't care at all. It's like she has done her seeking already. And that's the thing about this gene key is it's tremendously simple. Acceptance is so simple. But we're almost tempted to go on a trip. It's like, hold on, let me just see. let me see where this boat will take me, and then I'll go back in the river and go back across and then try it again. Um,
Hmm.
Not to say that like the journey isn't useful. That's part of the acceptance of where you're at and what feels in alignment for you, I think is important. You have to exhaust the seeking, right, in your own body. You
Oh,
can't pretend to exhaust it.
totally. And you have to, I mean, isn't it all fun in the end? The
It
more you try, the
depends.
more fun you have. The more you fail, you realize, oh my God, thank God I failed, right? So somehow on the other side, when we exit any type of trial or obstacle or rounds or waves or roller coasters, by the time we end, we're like, what, what just happened? And then you end up laughing and smiling because part of you
Yeah.
liked it. The other part of you wants to do it again. It's like you can't really stagnate. Just I don't know. I'm speaking from my experience. If I sat there and I just had a consistent content life, I wouldn't understand what the life is, what the point is to, you know, if I wasn't shaken many times left and right, and I wouldn't understand, I wouldn't have the library enough to not only understand it, but also to feel all this inside of me, the bliss, the joy, the pain, the love, the breakup, the sorrow, the grief. That's like so much to experience in life. And that's fun journey.
Yeah. It's your journey.
It's like you're traveling every day nonstop in the depths of your possibilities and capacity, your own, and you're expanding your capacity and taking on bigger space. It's like it's adventure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, which ironically in itself is also clinging and also attachment, right? To
Well,
the life, the wanting
hmm
more, being
hmm
better,
hmm
becoming enlightened. And
hmm
it's like it drives me crazy. But I also hear myself also using the trending words as like, I am this, I am that. Like, that's just this tantra, that tantra. I
hmm
enlightened this. I met the guru, my guru. It's like, I cringe, but I'm faulty of it too.
Well, you cringe because you are rebellious and you have style and you want to stand out. And it's,
But at the same time, I think we're just on automatically following one another and going in a waves. It's a blind ducks flying in one, right? So there's no
yeah.
coherence in it. Everybody's doing it just because they want to experience or they think that's the right thing. But it's really hard to tap into your own authentic self and what it is that. If I ask you, who are you, Eric? It's hard to explain who are you.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's part of the what do you call it? Paradox maybe of that question is it's not consistent. So we enter into the question desiring consistency, checking in with our system and then feeling like what I said yesterday or last week or a month ago, who I mean it's close. It's close, but how do I describe who am I today?
Mhm.
And the the honest answer is you can't really describe it. You
No,
can only approximate close to it, or my desire usually is to, just can I show you like can we hang out and talk instead of me entering a third level and trying to look down and zoom out and describe who I am. Let's have
yeah,
the experiences are such a better teacher of that.
totally. Totally. So, see, we evolved so much as humans to develop the cortex so we can communicate
Hmm.
and understand one another and, I don't know, exchange goods and figure out agriculture and start thinking linearly and planning for future. But if we didn't have language to communicate, we wouldn't have a choice and to communicate with, we will figure it out. But it almost feels like everything designed and defined by the word that the mind is creating from this intellectual
Hmm.
bank, it's by default will never be able to explain the experience in the body,
Right.
the depth of. the quality of what each and every single one of us in the world carries with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a hint to the fractal nature of this experience and how we are
Mm.
individual data points for the entire whole. And it's
Mm.
like to step into the perspective, I'd have to be you, and then I wouldn't know myself. So
Mm.
this is like the beauty of embodiment or incarnation and the level of acceptance of you are you and I am I, and accepting also like the loneliness or the lonesomeness to want to share it. You know, that desire is like genetically coded. And maybe we can
Mm.
touch on that because he talked about the 25th shadow. We find the basis for the myth of the sacred wound, the source of all human suffering. And then, yeah, he talks about how this genetic anomaly literally is wound in the helix of our DNA, and wound and
Mm.
wound being somewhat related and the same word. Um,
But I wanted to touch base on what you said earlier. I was
mhm.
waiting for you to see if you
Yeah,
can
bring
come
me
back
back.
to it. Yeah, yeah. I was like, where are you going? Come back. I'm curious. You mentioned something related to the experience of sharing the experiences rather
Hmm.
than explaining them. And you find what are you finding into that level of exchange of yourself? Hence, knowing that even if you try to understand me, you will never be me, right?
Hmm.
And no matter how much we are wired to connect with one another, it is almost impossible for us to understand fully one another because we're not the other, we are ourselves. And everything that comes towards another person, the partner, the friend, and everything is ultimately and only our projection. And
Hmm.
when we become aware that everything that I say about you, for you, to you, is ultimately the thing that I say out loud for me, because it's my perspective, where does this exchange and connection come in play for you to elaborate what you're experiencing in life rather than what you believe or think or narrate for yourself between the two?
Where does the desire stem from, or the ability
What
to
do you
communicate?
what do you get from the exchange?
Oh.
Why does this matter to you?
Um, there's a deep human need for connection, which is like, the psychology class answer for the question, but I'm thinking deeper.
Okay, let me probe you with questions. You open?
Sure.
When you desire to connect with the other and you speak out of your own experience, you elaborate your experience, you describe your experience. Is it a need to give it to the other, to share it with the other? Or is it the need to be seen and validated?
Yeah, I
Heard.
would say it's majority for validation.
Okay, that's everyone's answer. Mine too.
Hmm.
And why is it important for us to be seen and validated?
I don't have anything strong coming in for that one.
Okay, let me probe. Is it maybe because in Deep inside, we're trying to find the reason why we're here.
Mm. That's close to what came up for me, which was defining a time and place, like defining a, what do I want to say? Defining an environment, like where am I in my environment? It's almost like testing other nodes of information processors and making sure like that I know where I'm at. And I think that is rooted in fear of you don't have a defined place or reason or time.
Mm.
Because we talk a lot about, or it's coded in our language actually to talk about past, present, and future.
Mm.
And it's funny because it's needed for basic tasks and functions, but if we contemplate deep enough, time is always relative. So it's almost like I think about the relationship that we can have with animals as an example of like, how do you connect with your dog or how do I connect with my cat? And it's easier to accept that I can't have their experience because
Mm.
so it's almost like because you look a little bit like me, you have two eyes and you're about as tall as I am, and I can tell that you're human. It's like, let me test and validate that I'm not alone in this universe because that would be, that's probably a root fear that I have,
Mm.
like the deep loneliness. So the
Exactly.
validation
Uh-huh.
soothes that fear.
You're coming right to, he actually named a couple of fears, many fears that there
Mm.
are, and they all come down to love. But let me elaborate on my side. How it feels for me, it's like when I want so much to elaborate about my own experience, even through our podcasts, when I take off and I just, speed up my train into, woo, I just sidetracked. It's important for me to feel that you hear me, not to see that you're listening, because I don't know. That data point is invalid for me. But there's this energetic connection, for people that can drop into the body, that it's like, I know exactly when you're listening and when you're not listening. And when you're not listening, I am almost feeling totally invalidated, as I am not important. Okay.
Mhm.
For you. And then again, all of this is projection,
Yes.
because now I feel not important for myself. So please see me, hear me, validate me. There must be a reason why I'm here. There must be a reason why I am alive. I can feel, I can think, I can hurt, hear, like almost like hurt and feel all these feelings, experience this life. Okay, then what is my purpose here? I don't even know, but I'm looking for your validation. So your acceptance validation, you hearing me, accepting me for who I am, though it's just my projection. I never know, is this even the truth on your side? I just assume. And I feel great. And then tomorrow I need another round of validation because I must have a purpose. But yet, I never wonder, what is my purpose? I never contemplate, here, wait, I'm seeking it in you rather than looking at it inside. And what he's saying is like, when you face yourself, it's like, start questioning, but, like this awareness somehow evolves to become such a big question mark at some point in the life cycles, or one of the life, that you start questioning, but wait a minute, I'm asking you to validate me. I'm not even validating myself. I'm asking you to approve the reason that I should be alive and I am in the place, right time, living. But I don't even, I am running away from understanding what is beneath it. What is my purpose and who am I? The long asked questions in generations. Who am I? And why am I here? And I think when we start looking, you ask me, now to give you the answer, I have no idea. And that's the best part. It almost seems like we will never know. And once we start looking at ourselves rather than the validation in other, we will start realizing that we do not have answers for many of these key questions. And it almost feels like the acceptance is almost becoming tighter and tighter and tighter, and yet closer and closer and closer for you to look into it that you'll never know. You'll never feel it because tomorrow doesn't exist. You'll never have the answers on all these questions that first you're seeking everywhere else and then in you, and no answer. And there's nothing that you can do about it rather than accept it. So your performance and your scope starts getting smaller and smaller into a small little nothing. I'm not speaking from experience. I'm just contemplating of how is this circle spinning back to us? How is this road leading us back to us, to our awareness of what are we asking? What are we feeling? What is tomorrow? What's yesterday? What is my life? What is my experience? What's my purpose? Who am I? All of these questions that no one ever got the answers on, but yet have maybe being a tool for them to come closer to accepting the nothingness.
Beautiful. So good. I, you said it's not my experience, but I wonder if it is your experience. If the narrowing of attention and is it awareness that you're talking about? It's almost like as you chip away at these questions, the deeper you go, there's a need for acceptance to get through to the next question. And it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you're journeying down to the depths of hell that are available to you.
Mm.
And you get to each one and you have the option to constrict and become very angry about it, very cold about it, or you try to deny that it exists at all and come back up. But by accepting and going through the layers, the forms and the concepts and you know, the stories, the projections, they don't have the weight
Mm.
that we thought they did. And initially, it feels disheartening. It feels like the universe is cruel. It feels like, how could this be? I'm all alone. And then you learn to accept another layer and you go in. And I feel like you touched on it precisely, which is you come to a very finite point of awareness because you're titrating down, you're removing the body, you're removing the sense. First, I mean, that's part of the technique. You're sensing, you're being aware of it, hyper aware. And then you titrate down, you learn acceptance. And if you accept deep enough, there's nothing left for you to become tight around, constrained. There's no more contraction in your awareness. And when you've essentially you are on a meta level, you're contracting down, bringing it all in until there's nothing. And then when there's nothing, that's the explosion out to everything.
I love it.
And
Wonder would people understand what we're talking about?
I don't know. I think the right people will find us when they're ready. And if they don't, then they'll carry on. But the, ultimately it's my projection, it's your projection, it's my concepts, but they do, it's still boats that we're in and we're traveling. And people can hop in our boat and then they can be like, I'm gonna try swimming or get in a or build a boat or get in a different boat. And that's like we can't, well, we can and we do, but important not to beat up on ourselves for wanting having desires in the first place, and that's a trap. Spiritual materialism is okay
Mhm.
because I'm spiritual, because I'm meditating, because I'm doing yoga or vipassana, that I can't have desires, and I should remove desires, and I shouldn't go into extremes, and I shouldn't have experiences, and I should always remember that the body is not real and the mind is not real. And it's like, well, now you've just created more concepts on top. It's just a
Mhm.
layer, it's just layers of acceptance. And so us seekers are, we often suffer on our path. And then you have these people that are just naturally artistic, expressional, and very volatile in their lives. You never know where they're going to be in the world or what they might be up to or who they're with.
Mm.
But often they're so close to the experience of total acceptance.
And you're talking about them having the volatile life because the life is testing them again.
Yeah. And on some level, you do have decision making abilities. And so you can decide to be stable. Like, okay, I'm going to live and work in LA, and that's my home. I love the people here. But I feel that people who are really, really out there with acceptance, they might get, invitation from a friend to go travel somewhere, to go in it. And if we're stable people, we judge that and we're like, oh,
Mm.
how can you have a life or whatever story we tell, but on some level they're accepting of the volatility. And
Mm.
I think what it is like there's just different needs for different perspectives, and you and I have a perspective of a path, going down a path and establishing ourselves and testing and putting ourselves out there and getting our validation that way. And I feel that other people, they just want to be more explorative and then happen upon it. And if they never get there, and that's like tremendous faith for someone to say, I'm just going to be wild. And if I never get there, so be it. And I've met people
Mm.
like that traveling, and I'm always in awe of those souls.
Totally. You mentioned the dogs earlier, and read, I don't know when was it, like a couple years ago. I heard that their memory is just like 2 weeks long and they forget. And I'm like, wow, what a blessing that you forget what you ate, who you were, and on top of everything, you don't compare to another dog. You do not put yourself ever in the shoes when you become envy or you see something that causes you to boil, you know, within. And the reason why I'm saying that is that somehow the moment we look into the other, the moment we look into another other than us, is almost like the invitation for immediate misery, unless you already have the developed sense of self-awareness, that acceptance, so much so that you can accept everything and everyone around.
Hmm.
And ironically enough, in the current times where we are living right now in 2025, April, this is almost like a desperate invitation to not hate, to not attack, to not look into the other, to not compare, to not say it's wrong or right, to not judge, because it is almost such a test to pull you into such an extreme
Hmm.
of whatever feelings or narrations in your mind. It's like you can't help but not to go into one or the other extreme, immediately getting pulled and sucked into it, no matter. And we're not talking about one subject, you're talking about multiplications of subjects that you can
Hmm.
even talk and discuss, and kind of getting pulled into multiple extremes on both sides, one or the other way. So it's almost like, you're tapping into the fire, you're placing your finger on a fire, and if you're aware of how you get sucked into the stories or narratives, and how you compare yourself where you are, and how you find yourself in the seat of judgment, then you'll be able to pull out real fast, which is simple vipassana. which is
Mm-hmm.
simple breathing back because I am where I am right now. And that's all I know. And this is me, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is what I can do. Those are my thoughts, those are my projections. This is the data point that really is just causing me to vibrate differently. But I just happen to be right here where I am. What can I do with this information? Right? So it almost feels like we are so tested on a humane collective level right now. Maybe because we evolved our awareness a little bit more than just back in 60s and hippie era when everybody was just like smoking and having sex. So, right? That was just recent. But you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, oh, wait a minute, I'm able to step aside. I'm able to stop and not react because I want to come back to me. And this is who I am. And this is what I'm going to fight for me. Nothing else has nothing to do with anything else outside of me. So I don't know, you can call it an ignorance again, or you can call it a cold and repressed or reactive natures. But how interesting that we can get easily pulled into the extreme of both of these shadows right now
Yeah.
at the current time,
Mm-hmm.
repressive and reactive. And really, when you're aware of it, the only way, there's no way there, you cannot go anywhere other than in a present moment
Mm-hmm.
right now. This is all I get right now.
Yeah. And I want to touch more on the repressive and reactive because I think this is where it almost sounds like a trap. It's like, well, I don't want to be ignorant and I don't want to be cold or heartless. So I
Hmm.
should care about anything that's coming up.
But who are you
And
talking about? Yourself or others?
I'm assuming or projecting, so it's my own view of the onslaught of information available and how um, stories are rewarded for emotionality and tension. So
Mm.
that's what gets pushed to the forefront. So we're bombarded constantly with an emotional ploy to choose a side. And it's interesting as I enter into this world of people who are like me, pursuing a business online, um, writing, doing, self-improvement, like this sort of thing. There's a general sense of we don't care what's happening. We're focused on what we're doing. And that does feel cold, and on some level it does feel ignorant, but I don't believe it is if it's tied in with either a connection with your higher self or a desire or a vision that is a quote unquote improvement from where you are. And improvement can just mean suffering less and having an idea of a path to get there and accepting the pains of improvement along the way. But part of that journey is okay, I don't need to know what's going on with tariffs across the world. I don't need to know what's going on with the US housing situation, et cetera. And then there's topics on topics on topics on topics. And part of that filtering process is almost uh, an acceptance that I need to love myself first. And I find when I go down these rabbit trails and I get emotional and I get worked up and constricted, that it's not healthy for me. And just
Mm.
that alone, and just accepting like this is true for me and this is my experience. Like when I get too into the weeds about politics, economic policy, or a couple other topics, then I get really distracted. I don't feel motivated to do the work that I'm set out to do. I feel a little bit depressed. I feel unsteady, and I'm always desiring more information to validate my viewpoint or to test my viewpoint. And now it's like, um, yeah, I'm not really sure beyond seeing a headline and reading it, but then I'm also remembering like it's just a headline. I don't know actually what's going on.
Yeah. A question for you. How do you know you're doing the right thing for yourself?
Oh, I don't. That's the thing. Like I have to be brave in putting myself down this path or building a boat, instead of sitting on the bank, like I'm just gonna build a boat and it might not float. I might be in trouble. I might have to swim back to the bank, but I'm gonna build it and get in it and test it out.
Okay, but I'm going to give you the credit because you do. And here's why, because you're absolutely aware that you're getting sucked into it. And you can only do it, it's like a monkey project, right? Like many
Mm-hmm.
times it's going to get burned, 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 but it's going to take 27 times for it to learn. The
Mm-hmm.
key is being aware of where your mind is taking you, in what rabbit hole is taking you, and what your heart actually truly desires. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's like, I think there are many souls that are feeling the exact same thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yet falling into the trap of the mind again because you get so strongly and persistently sucked in. But somehow, in the last year or two, and I don't know when this happened, somehow we are trusting less and less the information coming our way.
Mm-hmm.
And if I am not on socials that often, but what I see on socials is exactly the same thing. Wait a minute. No. Wait a minute. What? Nah, come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And total doubt and mistrust in the information offered to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Out of whatever, what used to be a good faith, now it's complete disaster and destruction. So I think this is in our favor. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, like you, like when you go there and you put yourself out there and you have the piece of you that you feel almost like you feel it's you, right? It's like there's a part of you that speaks through words, journaling,
Mm-hmm.
writing, right? You're an author, you're an artist. Someone asked me, Vipassana, are you an artist? I was like, I'm trying to be. And she's like, you are. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
you are.
exactly. I don't have to go to education and get the degree in order to call myself artist. I am an art for myself. I really am.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything I do is has its form, it's art. Either it
Mm-hmm.
smells, it's different colors, the sound, the music. So yeah, I get to claim that for myself, whether you like it or not. And I think this exact awareness of coming back to your own uniqueness from the bottom of your heart, or one corner of your heart, or one angle of your perspective that comes down to your heart, it's ultimate truth.
Mm.
And it feels almost, you cannot even trick it. The mind has nothing to say about it.
Mm.
Meaning, it has to say, it will go immediately against you. It will tell you you're wrong, you're imposter syndrome, how dare you, who do you think you are? But the catch is now you're aware of what your mind is doing. And you're
Yes.
like, but wait a minute, I actually enjoyed the entire process. That's the truth. I loved sitting out there and writing for 3 days, 3 nights straight. Oh my God, didn't I touch parts of me that I never even knew I did? So, you mind, what are you talking about? Chill.
Mm-hmm.
Delete, delete, delete. Chill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to get mad at you, right? So if you do that exact thing. But honestly, Eric, I think this is where the evolution and leap, I'm very optimistic about the humanity in the midst of the chaos that we're going through. But I think this is absolutely the time when everybody will only find one way home.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I wrote down some, I had to take some notes.
Ooh,
And you kind of like guiding me as I'm like, oh, this is a good one. And then you threw a
you're
spicy
right.
little lick in there. So I wrote down validation through claiming it. Like
Mm,
instead of saying like, I'm trying to be an artist, I am an artist.
mm.
And then you said, well, you can't trick it. Your mind will call you out on your bullshit. You have the imposter syndrome. And I'm like, yeah. So that's actually that fear that you'll be seen as an imposter often is the last barrier to claiming it.
Mm.
I was like, I don't want to say I'm a writer because if someone's like, well, let me see do you have any books? And you're like, got me. But, and then I wrote down, well, then build something, create something, write something, draw something, paint something. And doing the activity, you become what you've claimed.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
about the momentum.
Hmm.
And the momentum is fueled with that trust. And that trust comes in repetition and
Hmm.
learning that conditioning actually yourself to learn the feeling of trust, self trust,
Hmm.
that I actually feel great. It's as if, but this is what I'm doing through the coaching, this exact thing. I'm letting go, letting you out of your mind into your body. So you learn and you repeat again and again and again so many times that the body now has a different information, that it's not fear, scare, freeze, fright. It's actually, ooh, relax. Oh, pleasure, rest, calm down, breathe. And he mentions also when the mind is activated so much, our breathing is almost so forceful.
Mm.
Like you're almost like running out of breath. Oh my God. But when you're so regulated and so calm and you accept, well, not accept, but almost like when you drop into the body so much so that you pay attention to how you're breathing, your awareness comes down back to you. It's not in the wars and in the worlds, it's you. And the more you become aware of how you are feeling there, the more precisely you're slowly slowing down your breathing as if you're not even no longer breathing.
Hmm.
And when you
Yeah.
do that, the truth comes up, and the truth is unique to you, your unique self, and almost like look at it as a responsibility in this lifetime to do that for yourself. Big soul responsibility,
Yes.
obligation. Because this is exact way how I think is that the contribution to the collective comes not from the mind, nor
Hmm.
matter, no, nor matter or physical form. It actually comes from an awareness and that energetic flow and radiance that comes out of your body, your
Hmm.
body,
Why
your
aren't you on
momentum.
X?
Oh my God. I
It's
don't
so
even
nice.
have time to be on IG.
It'd be so nice to have you there. I know, but
What?
like you can just write,
On X?
you can just write a little thing and post it, and I'll hype you up.
Yeah. Okay. I'll join because you're there. I've never been on X.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you follow, if you're selective about who you follow, then you don't, you only see, as we're talking about this.
yeah.
You go on any platform and you just willy-nilly just start scrolling the feed, you're gonna see all sorts of things that are gonna pull you left and right and all over. But if you're selective and careful and intentional, then you
Hmm.
can have a great experience.
But can I just add, my friend, can I just add one more thing
Hmm. Of
for you and for me?
course.
And this, of course, I'm speaking out of my projection, and this is what often I need to hear as well. So here I am saying it to you. Somewhere there, across the ocean, maybe on the other side of the hemisphere, there is another person that needs to hear exactly what you have to say.
Hmm.
There must be.
Yes.
And we are lucky that we live in the times when we can actually easily do it in a split second on internet. So thank God for the internet.
Yes.
Ironically,
Hmm.
right? So there must be a soul that needs to read exactly your words as a catalyst information for the change.
Hmm.
And that's the least you can do, to continue the momentum and speak from your heart.
Hmm.
And many times I do exactly the same. Listen, I'm not doing it for 222 people. I'm only doing it for one of you, and you are somewhere sitting, maybe even YouTube. Often I think YouTube will stay there for the next 30 years. People will go back to this time to re-listen and then be like, we might not even be here in 50, 60, 70 years, right? But something is happening when the heart speaks, and it's not meant for the immediate impact. It's meant for who knows what, where, and when. Total altruism,
Hmm.
total heart for everybody, total, almost like gift. Your
Yeah.
heart is a gift. So
Hmm.
when mind comes in and tells you no, that's exactly what you need to do.
Hmm.
Keep the momentum. I speak of it because I often get stopped by my mind the same way. And 2 days later, I'm like, just wasted 2 days for no reason. And I could have just like,
Hmm.
boom, a month later, boom, a year later. It's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Momentum's huge. Yeah, and I often write for myself. I write the things that, like, I imagine my higher self writing to me, or I imagine me writing to myself like a month ago or 3 months ago. And
mm,
that, and then in doing that, it's from my heart, and I trust that someone will receive the message because it's like, well, if I had this experience or I'm having this experience, then this must be a common feeling. And it's just a matter of time or space for the right person to come across it. And even if they don't, I'm still writing for me.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're all drinking from morphogenetic fields
Yeah,
at the same time. So
yeah,
it's proven, it's scientifically proven.
yeah.
Okay.
And I read this book. This is an interesting one. I don't know if you've read it. Is
No,
it reverse?
no, it's not. Still like an artist.
Feel like an artist. And it just talks about
Stop it.
how nothing is new and goes through the process of creating art and how we often use that concept of plagiarism and stealing as a
Mm.
block to creating. And it's like the reality is
Oh,
the best works you've seen were a inspired by or a combination of influences or even just a copy with a personal twist on it. And it just, you never know what can come through. But that book helped me so much because I would go to write and I'm like, this sounds like everybody else. I hate it. And then I read the book and I'm like, okay, this is fine. Carry on.
yeah, because we think it sounds like everybody else, but you really add your perspective, your
Yeah.
unique perspective, your own experience. And I have to send you this video from Marina Abramovic. She recorded it a long time ago. I actually often come back to it. Long
Mm.
time, maybe like 20, 30 years ago, back when she was younger. I come back to it very frequently when I lose all the trust in art and creativity and everything that I always wanted and loved the most, and like almost like found refuge in oftentimes. And I just re-listened to it the other day. She speaks about the loss of art as a form, as a material form. And she takes it a notch where she's like, we are going to need to learn how to become art itself, because there's
Mm.
so much in the body that we're going to be actually performing through our bodies, like almost like we're going to use our body as the art.
Yes.
There will no longer be paintings, the music, the stuff, because we're evolving so much that the body itself is an art. We are yet to discover how much art and creation we actually have in our own vehicle.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, let me feel, let me feel it. It's like
Man,
dial up.
I'm sure through the level of singing that she was
You're
exposed
gonna
to on
love
a
it.
daily basis, she's probably just a pure channel for those downloads. Like that just sounds like she has received an insight into where we're headed. Not many people speak like that. So, go ahead.
Yeah. She also read so much of Blavatsky's work
Oh, of course.
and did a lot of these techniques and tried them all on herself. So she coined the performance through her body. It's like, it's
Hmm.
not about me as an artist, it's about you as the audience that are feeling what I'm feeling and transmitting my energy to you so you can actually get the actual vibrations in your body and have some feelings about it. Either
Hmm.
anger, pain, disgust, fear, whatever that it is, that's the art.
Hmm.
Oh, so good. See? So,
So before we got on today, I saw an Osho video and it was just the title. I didn't watch it, but it was his quote, and he said, "Every day there are 1,000 opportunities to have a wonderful experience." And I'm like, this
mm,
is, of course, like we're doing 25 acceptance. And that to
mm,
me feels like you have a wonderful experience when you accept the
mm.
deepest layers of your existence.
And let me ask you one more thing too,
Yes, go.
related to it. How come you and I
Hi.
are, it's so easy to accept each other?
How come?
Uh huh. I have two dogs now, but
You got a new dog?
no, I'm babysitting my friend's dog.
Oh, fun.
They're funny. How come you
Um,
and I,
how come you and I could guess, but I don't really know.
okay, let me rephrase the question. How come this time does not feel like time? Has never once felt like time. And we've done many episodes, many.
I feel like you're asking the same thing in a
Same
different way.
thing. Yes. Right? So there's no explanation to it. but it's an example. To me, it's like this is what it feels and looks and sounds a quality time for me. And when I say quality, I mean there's a certain texture where I do not engage my ego and do not engage, I engage my intellect enough not to enough not to engage my ego, if I shall say. So I don't know if the intellectual exchange of ours is the higher level of intellect, whatever that means, but almost like there's no ego in it. It's like ego is so dissolved into these conversations and these connections. Is like, and that gives me the hope that it's very possible to find the depth of exchange and connections where, there's part of me that doesn't even want to be seen by you because I am already seen by you, right? It's like I don't I
Yeah.
don't I don't get I don't have this clinginess or need towards it.
Hmm.
And that to me is exactly the example of how different connections can be. And when you have the example or sample, you can then model and you can figure out what it is that I'm doing with you that I can't do with people at work, for example,
Hmm.
right? What is missing? Or I mean, how come this is now different? So that quality is a really good example. So I don't know how else to explain it. It's like there's no ego game whatsoever here. It's completely diluted. It doesn't even speak. In the beginning, it was when your
Yeah, I'm
daredevil
like,
came in,
oh yeah.
but now no
Um,
longer.
well, yeah, and I don't know why I need to push back on that, but I'm hesitant to ever claim like, oh, this whatever I do doesn't have ego in it because I don't know that that's possible. But that's just
There,
yeah,
there it goes.
it's tight
Deepen me.
nuance.
But there's a certain quality in what I meant to say. It's like it's almost like it's teaching us and it's programming us, and this is that coming back to the same.
Yeah,
I don't know.
if I'm honest with you and I think about my life experiences, um there's not anything that has ever been equivalent to the taste that you're talking about, to the quality of experience. There's like I'm like I used to really enjoy the solitude of shooting hoops in my driveway when I was a kid growing up, but there was some level of like needing to share it, so it didn't quite have the purity that this feels like it has.
Mhm.
And I'm also hesitant to like um to heap praise on this experience and like talk and talk and talk and fill it with compliments and fill you with compliments
Yeah,
because
totally.
I almost am like nervous that by us just getting on and vibing that people are like I'm like, oh, well, I want people to also have this experience and I'm hesitant to push people away by saying like what I have is different or what we have is different.
Oh, or is the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, you be nice. I won't. You follow the rules. I'll break them all. So, but the reality is, I think this is exactly what I think, the experience of I'm blending brown with your blue, right? So I only
Mm.
have this color and this blend of myself that gets diluted by your color, right? So it is almost like impossible to replicate with
Yeah.
anybody else, and it's impossible to copy because it speaks from its own uniqueness. And the difference is what I would invite people, if you even get like a hint of envy, oh, I want it or I want it, it's actually really comes down to being open and being curious. And
Mhm.
we're talking about the acceptance key, but at what point you're looking in the other person and
Yeah.
really analyzing, am I accepting you fully? Am I capable of accepting you for who you are?
Hmm.
And with that, can I accept myself for coming up with the bad hair, like total messed up setup, bad day? Can I still show up and trust? And that programming. And I think it really, really comes down to being coming back again and again, like Vipassana. It's almost like, well, you're gonna fail so many times, but you're almost devoted to coming back to opening the space, so much so that you can learn what that feels like.
Hmm.
And you can do this with other people as well. And there's no enough compliments that I can give to being open to experience such thing without knowing where it is. So almost like everything that comes in to stop you from coming back to the space, being open again and trying it, it does take two. So you have to be really willing to do it with someone, or you have to be, I don't know, like almost like trust divine that will guide you to cross paths with people that you may be able to exchange for a long time or maybe even once. And that exchange is just the learning about what the quality in you is all about. Because
Yeah.
I can't replicate this with anybody else, no matter how much I try.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
impossible.
my intuition tells me how we met is very key. And I want to like highlight that for people. So like um if I had met you and thought, I really want to get to know this person. I really want them to get to know me. I hope I establish a connection. I hope we can talk in 2 years. All my hopes, desires, whatever, or even like I hope she accepts the way I look. I hope I'm coming across as kind. All of these stories we come with. And when I met you, it was just like you said, curiosity and openness. And that was
Mm,
the two driving factors. And the stories were not existent. It was just like, what are you reading? What's on your mind? What do you know? Who are you? Like, tell me about yourself. And that I think that can be replicated with people, and not everyone will resonate, or you're not going to find balance with everybody if you approach it that way. But I think it's a practice that can be honed. And I think we had the benefit of unique circumstances. But part of luck is like repetition. You create
mm,
luck by just practicing and having repetition. So I'll just say if you can approach conversations or new meetings with extreme curiosity and a willingness to be open, and of course, this level of acceptance for what is.
yeah. You said the key thing. And I think when I coach people, and I coach people, I don't know if you knew. I am actually doing a lot of coaching.
You're a
Yeah, I was like,
coach.
I know I'm a coach, which I cringe every time I
Long
say,
time
but
coming. Well, I can use a different word.
yeah.
Guide.
Oh,
Ooh,
anyway, yeah, yeah. But we'll see. You see, the mind will do its own thing. But
guru.
it's
I'll just say things that
oh,
trigger you until you get over it.
oh my God. Ugh. Anyway, it's exactly that. It is actually staying curious about the other. And the more I coach people, the more I become curious, the more they're able to drop into themselves. Do you know how beautiful it is to see someone's vulnerability without trying to fix it,
Hmm.
learning how to accept it, and genuinely hold them? And you don't have to do anything other than hold the person until the process passes inside, until this fear is no longer a tiger that it's attacking you, right? So it's like, wow, I never went to a school. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a neuropsychic. I'm nothing compared to the people that actually went to school scientifically to learn. But what I do know is how to be curious about you. And I will find out everything. I will ask you questions. I do not say a word. All I do, I just ask questions. And it's genuine curiosity about someone, which again comes back down to what we said earlier. It's like I feel seen. Oh my God. And by feeling seen by someone, you learn about what it feels like to be heard, seen, and actually recognized, right? So no matter what, that sensation in the body of being alive for a reason, accepting yourself, it's big deal, big deal. And we never get to do that with one another unless it's a purely intentional and unless it's genuine, and unless like I'm gonna really sit here and actually talk to you and I want to know everything about you. So to me, that's exactly what you're saying. Is like the curiosity is a key. Like be curious about other people. Genuinely
Yeah.
want to know, want to get to know them. What's your life like? Who are you?
Yeah, as Pisces, we have an advantage. Always so curious.
It's also a learned skill.
Yeah.
It's my favorite skill to do.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, I just learned it last year. 2 years
No.
ago.
No, no, no.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually a
Mm.
technique, but yet you
Well,
learn
I mean like in you're saying like applying it to the
coaching business.
conversation, coaching, relation. Yeah.
Yeah, but through coaching, I learned how to actually genuinely be curious about other people.
But like
It's
when in your life were you not curious, not a curious individual?
a good question. I was, but I minded for not having a reciprocal away, right? So I was like, all I want to know is a lot about you, but you have not asked me one question. By default, I'm not gonna want to know anything else about you because you're so freaking selfish, right? The narrative.
Yeah. But that's just a layer of self-acceptance that you had to work through.
Yeah, I actually don't need you to get to know me any longer. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I'm just pinpointing it because I'm like I think curiosity can be a trait. I think there are naturally very curious people.
Mm,
The openness comes from the acceptance. And the
mm,
openness, I'm not saying curiosity can't be trained. I believe it can, and it's a skill. But I think openness is a much greater skill because, like Richard
mm,
said, we come into the world with all sorts of constriction. Yeah.
totally.
We most of us enter constriction training at a very young age. We learn it from our parents, and that makes sense. So unless your parents are Melissa and someone else.
Oh my God, can I tell you my dream? My
You
dream. I
have a
I was
child.
pregnant in my dream. I was so sad. I was
How pregnant were
so
you?
sad. I just discovered I was pregnant, and I don't know who
Oh,
impregnated me, but in my dream, I was pregnant, and I was so sad, so sad.
because you felt like the life you had was being unearthed, derooted.
I don't know. That just made me sad because I never thought that I will be a parent in this life. So
Mm.
that's the first dream ever and first feeling of being pregnant, and I was so so sad. Anyway,
Do you have like something big that's related, something coming up, anticipation of change or
honestly, yeah,
okay, tell me about
I
it.
feel. I mean, I feel like I'm in like a major crossroads, and it's been like that for a long time, and I think it's just gonna stay for a minute. But at the same time, I feel like somehow I'm doing everything and a lot of different things at the same time, and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the energy is coming from, right? And to add to that too, I thought I need to sleep for 9 to 10 hours in order to rock through the day and push through and do everything that I have energy for. But the more aware I became, which is again the teaching in Vipassana, the more aware you become and you center yourself in the present moment, the less you feel tired. So the more your mind engages you into a pressure of this and that, this and that, this and that, the more you're tired. And I was like, wow, I slept less than 6 hours, 5 hours on some nights, and I carried on entire day of concentration. You're talking of focus concentration again and again. And I'm like, I can't go to bed now. So the mind is very much almost like it's, yeah, it will exhaust you. Big
Hmm.
deal. So technically, the less engagement of the mind, the more time in life you have or in a day to do a lot of things.
Hmm.
I'm still failing at it, admittedly, but
How does this relate to your crossroads?
I don't know how I'm able to do everything that I'm doing with the energy that I'm doing. I'm eating like for three big men, one meal for me.
Eating like you're pregnant.
Yeah. And I still have a lot of energy. And after this, I think I'm gonna have a lot of energy. And I missed the gym today. But like when you speak from your heart and your mind is not engaged, there's so much energy left over in your tank. That's
Hmm.
how I feel after every conversation with you. Totally.
Hmm. Thank you.
So anyway, can we touch base before we leave on the universal love?
Yeah. Like usual, I had a hard time coming up with something to say about the city.
Here, I'm gonna kick off. Everyone in your life is part of your own wound and the healing of that wound.
Yeah, that was a really good highlight.
Everyone,
Hmm.
the good, the bad.
Good, the bad, the neutral, the boring,
Yeah.
the scary.
All spiritual paths begin with the urge to bring an end to a personal suffering. It is an acceptance of suffering that makes you seek. And as you seek, you eventually realize that your seeking is based on the urge to avoid your wound.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Thus, it is said that only when all hope of finding the grail is lost can the grail finally be found.
Hmm. And I have too many experiences that verify this for me. And I hope I'm not unique because it's like having the experience and deepens the level of acceptance that I can afford is a word, almost like um since we're born into the world constricted, we learn it at a young age. It feels like we're giving something up, like we're trading away parts of who we are in the process of acceptance, like
Hmm.
letting go, you know. So an experience was writing off all dating, all seeking of love, all of the romance. And I came back from traveling and I just got a job at a gym. I'm like, okay, it's somewhat relevant to my history and it'll pay the bills. And I didn't have a vehicle. I just walked to work. I was just like super accepting after what I saw and experienced in Nepal. And
Hmm.
Carly came to the gym and she was also in a place of, for her, it was more about focusing on career and her health, but she was also in a place of like, I'm not going to date anymore. I didn't like the last experiences. I'm not going to do this. And then we got to know each other on the grounds of neutrality, of just boss and employee. And that was to me an experience of like maybe not losing hope that the grail is lost, but kind of setting the grail down.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden finding that we're in love. And it was like quick, it just accelerated fast.
Wait, she worked for you?
She was my boss.
What?
Yeah, we both went for the same
Yes.
position and we both interviewed and the club owner was like, if someone else interviewed for the position, they had more experience than you, what would you say? And I'm like, you should probably hire them. Because I'm just like I was like too honest, too practical, too I wasn't gonna like fight. And that's another
Mm.
level of acceptance. And then she came in, right? And I thought I needed that job. And it turns out I didn't because I was fired when I married her.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you never said your story.
Yeah.
So this to you is the example of letting go and of seeking of the grail, and then it just showed up for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good example.
Hmm.
Love is a good teacher. It's relevant to a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's base of everything too.
Hmm.
The fear and the love and pleasure. Mm.
How about you?
The example,
Do you have one?
you know, every time I say I want to live in my solitude, it's almost impossible for me to be in the solitude. But the example would be not so much of me seeking rather than me actually relaxing and taking chances in life. And I think that that compass came with me somehow, or I was born to seek freedom, right? To not be congested with someone else's suffering in childhood, or, like total complaining of the life or misery in the city that I was born in. It's almost like it almost choked me since I was little, since I became conscious and started developing the knowing about myself or some sort of persona or character. And I always knew that I don't belong there because it was so choking. So my only seeking was seeking for freedom, freedom to think, to feel, to be, to not be set, to be to not have anyone around me tell me no, you can't. Short hair is not for girls. You can't love another woman. You can't go to that school and do that. And I'm talking not only institutional knowledge, almost like every single thing that I wanted to do in life, to leave, to travel, to try, to teach, to learn, to read. It was almost like, but why would you do that? Like, you know, immediate rejection. But, you know, I just wanted freedom and I seeked freedom. And to this day, I still seek freedom, but freedom of my expression of the space, of feeling what it feels to feel free, to think freely, and to not be stopped or afraid by the fear of someone else actually stopping you on your path. And this has never been resolved in my life. It's just me kind of fine tuning how I react to the fear and the obstacles that and resistance that will show up in my life, no matter how far I go or whatever, no matter how calm I become or how, experienced I become in something. Even if you know, I used to say, I'm going to retire in a Tibetan monastery and I'm going to cook with monks. I'm going to cook the food and have my own garden and I'm going to feed the homeless. And then we ended up on this course of 10 days, actually living and begging for food for free, living in someone else's home for free, eating food that we did not pay for free, uh, using water, drinking water, and eating apples that are we never even for free. You almost live such a humble monk life, and your ego is not there. You can't say this food sucks, right? Because you're so hungry, and you would eat just green lettuce if there is green lettuce, and you become so humble that I'm like, wow, you actually have to really be dedicated. So I changed my mind about retiring in a monastery because that's your job to go there and dissolve your ego so much that you're begging for food everywhere you turn around. And you have to be so ready to do that. I was like, I don't think I'm ready actually. So, but the freedom to even try that or to even climb the Kilimanjaro, right? So who can tell you no? Only you can tell yourself no. So I only seeked freedom all my life. And to this day and forever until I die, I will seek freedom in any format that it comes in.
Hmm.
But to seek it, I think I first need to learn about it and give it. You first teach it, then you learn it.
deep.
I cannot wait for 60 keys, 64 to be done. In only one reason,
Yeah, because
to
you're sick of
see.
it.
No, no, no. I knew you're gonna assume it. I knew you're gonna jump. You're so fast. Only because I want to compare number one to number 64 2 years later
Yeah.
and watch us literally analyze the tonality of our voice, the vocabulary that we evolved into. What are we saying? Are we positive or negative? Are we doomsday and utopian way of thinking or stoic, like who cares, whatever, or actually, excited about it? So, all of this, I can't wait.
Yeah, I I'll be interested, slightly curious. I have this like I don't know why. Maybe you can relate to it or pinpoint it, but my parents recorded home movies when we were kids,
Mm,
and it was like 5 years ago. They said, "Hey, we got the home movies recorded if you want them." Or they just gave them to me. And I watched like 10 minutes of one and I was like, I'm good. And my parents were so offended. They were so annoyed. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's probably a fear that I could be doing something better. Maybe that's just a layer of it, but
Are you talking rewatching your own video?
yeah, like re going back and watching my old stuff. You know what it is? And I love looking at pictures of the kids like 2 years ago or a year ago. Love it. I'm like, if it only takes 5, 10 minutes, it's like it's such a great part of my day. But if it's about me, I'm just like, let's carry on. There's probably a level of acceptance for who I was that I'm
Mm.
not ready for.
Ready or interested in?
Yeah, maybe interested in.
Mm.
It's like I'm not that curious.
I
It's
self-analyze. When did you want to say something? Sorry, I interrupted.
no, I think you're gonna say what I'm thinking.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh my God. If by end of this cycle we learn how to telepathically talk, that will be the breaking news in science. It's like, oh, I know exactly what you meant. Say it.
I'll be sending you I'll be like telling you telepathically that we
Toot
have to
toot.
keep it a secret.
Mm. When I was in
You'd be so annoyed
doing,
with me.
I wouldn't. When I was in YTT doing the yoga teacher training,
Mhm.
I suggested we need to record ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Out of 11, 10 said no. And I'm like, why? Don't you want to see how you look in front of people? How you look? What's your pose? What's your voice? What's tonality? What are you doing with your hands? Because most of the time, you're not going to even be aware of how you're like fidgeting and trying to, be a great teacher while you're
Hmm.
terrible on the other side. It was such a terrifying idea for all of them. I was shocked and I was like, I'm recording. And I put it in a corner and I'm recording this for myself. You tell me if you want it. So I'm recording and I'm recording one after another after another. So they're just trying, 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 trying. I'm like, holy moly. I would not sign up for my class.
Yeah.
Totally. No matter how much I knew, the way that I was practicing it, it was totally misaligned to what actually is the true, because I was so into my head and everybody was into the head. Do it this way, that way, this way, rules, 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 rules. So you can't even relax into your body. And it took a minute for them and I just sent it to them and they were just like, oh my God, I'm holding this, like I'm doing, and it was totally unaware. I would highly recommend watch yourself just to see who you are
Yeah.
because it's the
As a
only chance.
yeah, as a tool for improvement, it's like the best thing. What it the way I approach like myself beyond a certain point in the past is I'm like, he's too far different. I can't improve what he did. So it feels like
Oh,
a waste of time. or distraction.
And he, you mean on another you?
Yeah, me like beyond 2 months ago. I'm like, I'm not that guy. Like, let's. But if it's a practice where I'm like, okay, I'll record today and I'll look at it tomorrow, that would be a good
Ah,
practice for me.
ah, it's interesting. I wonder, are you disassociating from the 2 months ago you?
Absolutely.
Eric? Are you joking?
Absolutely. No, I'm not joking.
Oh my God. And I am doing my best to teach people how to associate back.
Oh yeah, if you want to go into a container, I'll do that. I don't know. You could tell me, or maybe you can't tell me. I don't know. I don't do that. I don't like doing it.
That's you don't have to. I mean, it's not my it might not even be your thing. I asked my sister two summers ago. I was like, my sister's name is Maria. And I asked, Maria, how from 1 to 10, how much do you love yourself? And she goes, 120. Immediately, not even 10, 120. It's like, great.
Great.
It's like
Yeah.
there's nothing you can say but the love for self, not for this, for the heart.
Hmm.
But anyway, we can elaborate on that more. This was great and exactly 2 hours.
Whoa.
6:30 to 8:30.
2 hours? No, almost.
Yeah.
We started a little late.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. I
Thank you.
like. We'll go to 26 and Pride for next this Sunday, and then we'll go. We'll see what happens in between. We might totally change. We might be a different people by Sunday.
I know that I can't contain you and I won't try. Be free.
Freedom. Be free. Okay. Talk soon.
Bye.
Enjoy your night. Bye.